Okay, what's the old saying? Once more with feeling. It's the third time I'm trying to do this. I actually did record a whole 16-minute video and then decided I just didn't like it. So I'm recording another one. And this is going to be the final version. All I want to do is talk about describing characters. How could that be so hard? Anyway, a little bit of a progress report before we get into it. I spent most of the week working on the first edit of Wanderer. It's coming along pretty well. I'm heading into the last scenes now, so hopefully I will have it finished, if not tonight before I go to bed. Well, it's 11 o'clock. Who knows how much longer I'm going to be up. And or tomorrow. And once that's done, I'm getting back to first draft writing. Characters and describing characters. How detailed should you be? If you've read any of my books, you've probably realized that I don't really give a whole lot of character description. I kind of like it that way. I don't like it when I'm reading a book and I have this long description of exactly what the person looks like, as if they're standing right there and they're just ticking off descriptions. I don't like that. Give me some basics. I'll take it from there. Which is what I do. I give some basic traits: height, general build, distinguishing features, like for example with the Special Agent Carl Anadrastia from On a Cold Wind. She's described as being tall. She's 6 feet tall, about 180 something centimeters. I forget the exact conversion. But I do mention her shoulder-length white hair and her gray eyes, which are her white hair in particular is her predominant feature. As for the rest of her, the first time she's described as being exotically beautiful, but I don't go into detail on what exactly exotically beautiful means. And sorry, there's also reference to seeing muscles flex beneath the bodysuit she was wearing in that opening scene of On a Cold Wind, suggesting the life of a top athlete. But I'm not going to tell you exactly she looks like. I've given you some basics. You take it from there. And I prefer it that way because, to me, it's, and I've heard it described this way before, it's active communication that starts with me and ends with the reader. And I kind of like the readers to work a little bit. Use your imagination. If something is really stand out, I will describe it. If a character, for one reason or another, looks completely different from other human characters, then I'll describe that. But I want my human characters to come from your imagination as much as mine. Sometimes I'll get a little bit more specific. For example, in The Fault Lies Not, our main character, Special Agent Lynn Sillo. The story is told from Lynn's point of view, and there's not really a description of her per se because it's first person and it's kind of awkward to have a person describe themselves. So can't really have that unless you have them look in a mirror or something like that. But there is one line where I actually give a hint about her. There's it starts off, she's on the roof of precinct house at a city, Her and her partner have been sent in to try and stop a serial killer, and it's not going well. Her partner goes up, gets her, and they go down to the precinct commander's office. And after an info dump, we are introduced to the precinct commander. And Lynn is describing him. Not too tall, putting on a little weight from spending too much time behind his desk, thinning hairs combed back away from his head. And then there's this line. His dark skin is shade lighter than my own, glistened with sweat, despite the cold temperatures in the office. I just told you both of them were black, and if you're not paying attention, okay. So a lot of the things that I will also try and do is I'll have their behavior patterns suggest how they look. Wanderer, for example, the main character of Alexander Sinclair, is known throughout EGS as being and as described as being relentlessly upbeat. She's one of those people who's always happy, always looking on the bright side of things. So what I do is I tend to make reference to her constantly being constantly smiling, speaking in an upbeat tone of voice, things like that, so that you can picture her with a smile on her face. Yeah, smiling's not good for me. And it really is a fine line to walk between whether there's not enough description or too much description. Like I said, I tend to lean more towards not giving a lot of description. In fact, when I give things to people to read, or if someone I know buys one of the books, I will ask them, can you, just as a thought experiment, you're casting the movie version of this, who's playing the main character? And I'll just leave them at that, because it's basically what I do. Now, I'm not, describing the characters so that you're thinking of a particular actor or actress or whatever. I'm just have them in my mind. Okay, I would cast this person to play this role. So, and what you do is what works best for you, like everything else. If your readers want more in the way of description, they'll let you know, and then you can adjust from there. It's one of those things that really should pay attention to reader feedback. If they want a little bit more description, try a little bit more. I've not gotten a lot of reviews, to be honest with you, but the reviews that I have gotten haven't said anything about, I really couldn't visualize the characters in my mind. None of them have said that, so I'm assuming that I'm doing okay with the amount of description that I have. The thing is, though, so when we come down to race, and this harkens back to Lynn, to the example of Lynn that I mentioned, like I said, I don't really describe my characters. I don't generally mention their race. Because, again, I want the reader to have that complete flexibility to visualize the character in whatever way they want. You want to, for example, on A Cold Wind, if you want to envision Carly as a black woman with white hair, knock yourself out. I think of a black woman with white hair, first character that pops in my mind is Storm from the X-Men. Don't get me wrong, Storm's a great character. Like Storm. Not crazy about the Mohawk sometimes, but Storm's still a great character. But it's that what I'm trying to say is, if you're reading the one of the books, one of the stories, and you want to picture the entire cast of characters as black, More power to you. Knock yourself out. That's great. Use your imagination. Plug whatever you need, whatever you feel you need to do. Cast a movie, if you will. The reason I mention that is because there's a concept that I heartily don't agree with, known as default white. And the theory behind default white is that if the author doesn't describe the characters in excruciatingly fine detail right up to and including an emphasis on race, the reader will automatically, without exception, envision the character as white, which I don't believe in. I think every person is going to approach a book with their own outlook, their own biases, their own beliefs, their own feelings, their own way of looking at the world, if you will. So, to say that one middle-aged guy in Central Florida sees a character one way and somebody on the other side of the country is going to see the character the exact same way, no. I do not believe that at all. Everybody is going to visualize the characters in whatever way they see fit. So that's why I say, if you decide, if let's say somebody makes a wants to make a graphic novel adaptation of On a Cold Wind, and they decided, okay, Murphy's a black guy. Yeah, okay, that's great. That's good. That's your take on the character. That's fine. That's great. Is his behavior, the rest of his behavior, does it jibe with what's portrayed in the novel? Yeah, okay. That's great. That's all I ask. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. It's one of the reasons why I do it, just to give that flexibility. I don't believe I don't believe that if you don't do one thing, everybody's going to see the character the same way. No, I just do not believe that at all. But again, that's something that you have to kind of feel your way around. What's going to work best for you? Do you put a lot into describing the characters? Because to me, sometimes it's not necessary to go into a lot of description. For example, let's look at Artemis Jean, the main character of Upon a Far Distant Shore. She, despite her first name, she is ethnically speaking Chinese. Her parents immigrated to the U.S. from China in the mid 80s. She and her sister were born here. Actually, they were born over in Orlando, but they are Chinese. Both her parents were Chinese. Both their parents were Chinese. So that both she and her sister are literally Chinese Americans. Oh, and by the way, her parents came over legally. Sorry. And they wanted both their daughters to have out of the ordinary first names. That's why Artemis ended up named Artemis and her sister Melina. But if I tell you that a character's parents immigrated from China and she's not adopted, and you read that and you see the only thing I'm really telling you is that she is rather tall and she has short dark hair with burgundy highlights, and I tell you that her parents immigrated from China, and you envision a white woman, that's on you. That's on you. I've told you that she's ethnically Chinese, but you're visualizing a white woman. And that's on you. That's not on me. That's not on you. That's on you. And the thing that kind of just bugs me about it is there are people out there who will say if you don't focus on the race of the characters, that's racist, which makes no sense to me because most of my stories are set in the future, and I just pray to God that by the time those years actually roll around, we've kind of gotten it through our heads that we're stopped hating portions of our race because they look different. And I'm sorry, if I dislike somebody, it's not because of their race; it's because they've done something to annoy me. So that's it. So this one turned out better than the last one, so this will be going up. Oh, and I did want to mention before I let you go, from July 1st to July 31st, the ebook, all the books are going to be on sale. Ebooks only, unfortunately, and only on Smashwords, not on Amazon or Lulu. So unfortunately, if you're interested in buying the print on demands, sorry, but it is available through. Will be available through Smashwords, 50% off for the entire month of July, from the 1st to the 31st. Just have to go to my my author page, which you can find down below with the rest of the links on my website, Word Boys Words. Just go to the books tab. Right on top is the button for Smashwords. It'll take you right to my site, and then you can order whatever books you want. And if you do buy one of the books, please go back and leave a review, good, bad, or indifferent. I don't much care anymore. Not that I ever really cared. I'll take whatever review I can get. And so that's about it. Thanks for listening. And remember, we are each of us the heroes of our own stories and the villains of someone else's. Take care, guys. See you next week.